A very good evening and welcome to a brand new edition of News First Weekend. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. With less than 27 hours for campaigning to come to a close ahead of the presidential elections 2015, political party representatives were seen on political platforms pushing the two main contenders' bid for the top job in the country. Tonight on the News First, we have all the sides and all angles covered. First up, it's a look at tonight's headlines.
President reiterates that the government is still strong in spite of defections. The presidential election will not be won through violence. A statement from Maithripala Sirisena.
අපේ මල්ලකඳන් මතින් මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයා ප්‍රචණ්ඩත්වයෙන් තක්කඩිකමෙන් දිනන්න ලෑස්ති වෙනවා නම් ඒක කිසිදාක සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
No harm should happen to national security. Chief Prelate of the Malwatu chapter expresses belief to JHU. Police STF deployed to beef up security in Arlagan Villa.
And now for the stories in detail. UPFA presidential candidate President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that although several individuals may have abandoned the party, there are still 136 MPs who are with the ruling party. He made this statement while addressing a series of rallies held yesterday.
Another in the series of main rallies organised by the UPFA to marshal support for President Mahinda Rajapaksa was held in the Homagama town yesterday.
Two or three frogs may cross over, but I wish to remind you clearly that the people of this country will not cross over in this way. Look at each and every one who crossed over. Even she says they are fearful for their lives. They are being taught this well. I will not speak of this group of small fry. I ask them to learn about politics. That is what I have to say to everyone. To all these young politicians, do not throw stones from glass houses. Do not adopt wrong political views when you are young. Do not start crossing over in this way when you are young. That is the root of your destruction. It is a journey into a political jungle.
Several senior UPFA representatives also addressed the gathering.
While he is seeking a third term, our country has been transformed into a nation with a growth rate of 7% and has brought faith for progress in Asia as a whole. Who is this victory for? Economic stability and economic strength are necessary for a nation. Political stability and political strength are necessary for a country. Think about who these people are. When they crossed over, they promised good governance to the maximum. But then I realized that these were the same old people. The Lord Buddha first came to Mahayangana. From the day that Lord Buddha came to Mahayangana to the day that Mahinda Rajapaksa came there, a lorry would always have to move backwards before moving forward on the 18-bend road in Mahayangana. Let us remember that it was President Mahinda Rajapaksa that enabled us to move forward on the 18-bend road without moving backwards. That was a change he brought to Sri Lanka following the visit of Lord Buddha.
President Rajapaksa also attended several campaign rallies held in the Ratnapura district last evening. Speaking at a rally held in Kahavatta, he made the following observation.
There are major rumors that are being spread today. There are 2 chairs that are allocated at every meeting. Who is this for? They are waiting for a party senior from our side. But in the end, there isn't anyone. While staring defeat in the face, they have become frantic and are telling lies and throwing insults. My dear brothers and sisters, we know this. We need not be troubled.
The President also attended a public rally held in Mount Lavinia last evening.
මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව ඓතිහාසික
This parliament is a historic one. Even though all these people have left, we still have 136 MPs in parliament. When the parliamentary election is held, more will come. We can take them if we want, but the problem is there should be an opposition too.
ගන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ විපක්ෂයකුත් තියෙන්න ඕන.
Presidential candidate of the New Democratic Front, Maithripala Sirisena, reiterated that the presidential election cannot be won using violence. He made this statement at a public meeting in Bakamuna.
Common opposition representatives were also present at the public meeting that was held yesterday to garner support for presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena.
I say this very clearly. Do not treat this as a game. We are fighting with our lives. There is a risk to my life and the lives of Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga and General Sarath Fonseca. We will not back down from facing these threats. We will conduct this election campaign. If Mahinda Rajapaksa is going to try and win through violence and mischief over our corpses, we will not let that happen.
We should subject the corrupt murderers' government to immediate change. We do not know what is being spoken. They are blabbering. They are not ready to step down from power. We will not let go of this pure battle we commenced until we become victorious on the 8th. I know this clearly. Whatever Rajapaksa does, our lives are in the hands of the public of this country. Be there for us, protect us, and we will win the battle for you all. Opposition public representatives expressed their views at a meeting held in the Ingaragoda area in Polonnaruwa.
It's been 5 years since I've joined politics, and out of those 5 years I've spent 3 of them in jail, and up until today we have not consented to any acts of thuggery, and we have not been a part of any acts of thuggery, but we have been assaulted by thugs. When they stop this, the ruler will have to go home, because the only political culture that this ruler knows is one based on acts of thuggery. He is the symbol of this culture.
Presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena did not attend the meeting held in Madaragiriya, Polonnaruwa due to security concerns. However, leaders and public representatives of the common opposition attended the meeting.
Speaking at a public rally held in Bandagiriya Hambantata, MP Sajid Premadasa, the deputy leader of the UNP, made the following statement.
Think about it for a minute. When the votes of Maitri, Chandrika, the JVP, the Hello Oromia, the Tamil community and the estate people are added to the 41% voter percentage of the UNP, will we not be able to get more than 50%? This individual is asking me how Sajid Premadasa can sit with Chandrika, who addressed Prabhakaran, who killed Premadasa as Mr. Prabhakaran. Madam Chandrika Bandaranaike too was a political leader who was the victim of a tiger attack. It was the same tiger terrorist that assassinated my father, that took away Chandrika's eye and tried to assassinate her too. Therefore, I have no problem whatsoever in sitting next to Chandrika.
Police Special Task Force personnel have been deployed to beef up security in Arlaganvilla. This step was taken after a campaign office of Maithripala Sirisena was shot up yesterday.
The attack on the office, which had been established in the Arlaganvilla town, occurred at about 7 o'clock last night. Police say that a shooting was also reported. 4 people were injured in the incident. The police say that both factions have lodged complaints regarding the incident. Maithripala Sirisena visited the scene of the attack this morning. A campaign rally for Maithripala Sirisena was held in close proximity to this office last evening.
What are these people who constantly speak of the nation and the motherland doing today? Are they doing this to show that they can win with force, suppressing the will of the people? They cannot win an election by force, and there is a wave of public support for one side. I wish to remind them that they cannot intimidate the people through this.
The police media spokesperson says that several suspects have been identified in connection with the incidents in Arlaganvilla.
About 5 incidents of election violence were reported from Aralagangwila last evening and last night. A shooting has also been reported in close proximity to where a campaign rally for the common candidate was held. 4 more incidents of assault were also reported. An investigation has been initiated under a special team. Suspects in several incidents have been identified. Steps are being taken to arrest them. Additional personnel have been deployed to Aralagangwila. The assistance of the STF has been secured to maintain law and order in the area.
Meanwhile, 2 campaign officers established to marshal support for Maithripala Sirisena in Kutaripur and Udadeni areas in Bingiria were attacked last night by an unidentified group. Our reporter says the group had made off with equipment at one of the officers and had put up campaign posters of President Mahinda Rajapaksa on the walls. 2 people at the offices were injured in the attack and are both receiving treatment at the Kuliapitia base hospital.
Yesterday too, it took the police more than 4 hours to take action and to come to the scene. The police are still silent. We want the police to arrest these armed thugs and enforce the law.
Meanwhile, a house in Ruhunuridi Gama was also attacked last night. A group of JVP supporters were the victims of this attack. A campaign office of Maithripala Sirisena in the Malabe town has also been attacked.
237 incidents of election violence have been reported, which include 22 serious incidents of assault. A notable feature of the run-up to the elections is the organised use of state power and public property for campaigning. Several locations being used for campaign offices and rallies of the common opposition candidate across the island have been attacked over the past 24 hours. Several campaign activities, including door-to-door canvassing and vehicular parades, have been obstructed. Security forces personnel, both uniformed and in CVs, have been deployed to provide security. The groups that were involved in the incidents in Puttalam and Aralagangwila have received the direct protection of security personnel. Of the 116 incidents of election violence that have been reported in the run-up to the election, 24 have involved the use of firearms. The situation in Aralagangwila yesterday was the worst use of organised terror that we have seen in this election campaign so far.
Presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena did not attend several campaign rallies organised today due to security concerns. He addressed a felicitation event held in Galagedara Kandy today via phone.
The felicitation was held at the residence of Central Provincial Councillor M.S. De Silva, the UNP organiser of the Galagedara electorate.
Meanwhile, speaking at a media briefing convened today, Minister Dallas Salah Peruma commented on the security of Maithripala Sirisena.
We make a respectful appeal from the Inspector General of Police to please deploy all platoons that have not been assigned for election duty to provide security for Maithripala Sirisena and his campaign if possible. We appeal to the Army Commander too to allocate 1 or even 2 brigades that are not caught up in the national security matters to provide security for Maithripala Sirisena and their election campaign. Protect them. Why? Because you can see that they have fabricated reports saying that their vehicles were shot at and that their homes were shot at. Please do not even let a mosquito get through to them. Give them security. We are well aware that in the end they will try to use these primitive and tribal political trump cards.
The General Secretary of the UPFA, Minister Susil Premchand, expressed these views at a media briefing held today with regard to a photograph presented to the media by Patli Champika Ranawaka recently.
Partly Champik Ranawaka of the JHU showed a photograph of the president hugging KP. The president has never hugged and kissed KP. There is no need to do so. Now see the way it has been done. This is Lester James Pierce. They had replaced the head of Lester James Pierce in the photograph where the president hugged and kissed Lester James Pierce on his birthday. With KP's, as today's technology is very advanced. They have presented this to the public. Now what is the trustworthiness of all those who support the opposition's common candidate?
MP Partali Champik Ranawaka issued a communique today regarding 2 photographs he displayed at a media briefing.
The communique says that wrong interpretations are being made by certain individuals on 2 photographs depicting Kumaran Padmanathan alias KP and President Mahinda Rajapaksa. It adds that the 2 photographs were extracted from the internet and that he cannot certify its credibility. According to the communique, the backdrop for these photographs was provided by another communique issued by the President's media unit, stating that the President had toured Kilinochchi on a date close to the 13th of September 2013 and met with Kumaran Padmanathan during the tour. It adds that it affirms of the fact that the President and KP had some sort of relationship. MP Ranawaka reiterated that it is his stance that it is a major humanitarian crime to let an individual who was issued a warrant by Interpol to operate freely and that KP should be brought before court.
Representatives of the Jatika Helaurumiya visited Kandy today to meet with the Chief Prelate of the Malwatha chapter of the CM sect, aware on the various allegations that have been raised regarding the program of New Democratic Front presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena.
The leader of the JHU, Venerable Omalpe Sobadithera, and General Secretary Partli Champik Ranawaka visited the sacred temple of the Truth Relic and paid homage. Subsequently, the group visited the chief prelate of the Malwatha chapter of the Siam sect, the most venerable Tibbatuwave Sri Sumangala Thera.
Maithripala Sirisena Maithrumage Prakashanaye සමහර අය ප්‍රශ්න කරනවා ඔය ඒකීය භාවය සඳහන් කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඒතර පොඩි ත්‍රස්තවාදී වෙනවාදී විශ්වාසවන්න අවස්ථාව සලසලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේ අදහස් තියෙනවානේ. ඉතින් සත්‍ය වශයෙන් මේක ඉතින් වැරදි අදහසක්. මොකද මේ ප්‍රතිපත්තිමාලාවේ ඒ ගැන අපි සඳහන් නොකරන්නේ. මොකද ඒක ව්‍යවස්ථාවෙන් ආරක්ෂා වෙනවානේ ස්වාමීනි. ඒ වගේ දෙයකට අපි දන්නවනේ ඉතින් දලදා මාලිගාවට මේ විනාශ කරපු ඉතින් රටපුරා ඒ කරපු විනාශේ අද ත්‍රස්තවාදීන් ඉන්නේ ආණ්ඩුවත් එක්ක. වැරදි අදහසක් ඇති වෙයිද කියන බයක් අපදොර තිබුණා. ඉතින් ඒක සාකච්ඡා කරන්නත් එක්ක තමයි මෙතුමා අද අපි තීරණය කළේ. ඒකේම එනවා ඔබතුමන්ලට බලේ කියන්නේ එහෙමයි.
මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මැතිතුමා ජනාධිපති වුණාම එතුමා ව්‍යවස්ථාවෙම කියලා තියෙන පරිදි ආරක්ෂක අමාත්‍යාංශ දුරේ විතරයි දරන්නේ. සෙසු දුර අගමැති ප්‍රමුඛ කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයට පැවරෙනවා. ඊළඟට මහානායක හමුනේ කියලා තියෙනවා පවතින ආණ්ඩු ක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ ජනමත විචාරණයකින් පමණ වෙනස් කළ හැකි ව්‍යවස්ථා වගන්තිවලට මෙම යෝජිත ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධනයේදී අත නොතබන බවට මම සහතික වෙමි. එමෙන්ම රටේ ස්ථාවරභාවය ආරක්ෂාව හා ස්වෛරීත්වය සඳහා ඇති ඉඩකඩ වැඩි දියුණු වන්නා වූ සංශෝධනයක් නිසා ඊට හානි කරවන්නා වූ කිසිදු සංශෝධනයක් සිදු නොකරන බවට මම සහතික වෙමි.
A copy of Maithripala Sirisena's manifesto was also presented to the chief prelate of the Malwatha chapter.
Gratitude was shown to His Excellency the President for ending the war and ending terrorism, and he was re-elected as the head of state. But has gratitude been shown to the others who were instrumental in winning the war? First, consider General Sarath Fonseca. They have even taken away his right to live. The other point is the people. Have the people who underwent immeasurable suffering and endured all the troubles received the benefits of the war victory? No. So there is only one person that is reaping the benefits of the war victory and a group that surrounds him. We guarantee that we will not allow separatism to rise in the country again. We noted that the people who planned the attack on the Temple of the Tooth and Kumaran Padmanathan who provided the explosives are now with the government and that they will all be brought before the law in the future. There are false allegations that a unitary state has not been mentioned in Maithripala Sirisena's manifesto. The truth of this is that Maithripala Sirisena has clearly pledged that he will not make any changes to articles of the constitution that can only be changed through a referendum. One such article is the article that deals with the unitary nature of the Republic of Sri Lanka.
ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ සඳහන් ඒකීය භාවය. ඒ වගේම ශ්‍රී ලංකාව ජනරජයක්.
Leader of the JVP, Anukumar Dissanayake, commented on the misuse of state property in the presidential election campaign at a media briefing convened today.
In the history of Sri Lanka, this is election where the largest amount of money is being pumped in. You must have seen that the bus fare alone for the rally at Anuradhapura was 25 million. At the same time, this rally was held at the Salgadu grounds. All the grass was removed and replaced with ABC mixture and concrete. After the meeting, the concrete was removed and grass was put in again. That too cost more than 10 million. When considering all the other expenses, the total cost of the Anuradhapura rally alone is close to 70 to 80 million. State media has become a branch office of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party these days. This media is being used to sling mud at the opposition and to promote Rajapaksa and his policies. Therefore, this election has become the election which has seen the largest misuse of state property in Sri Lanka's history. They are forcing all television channels to telecast a program that was recorded at the presidential residence in Kandy from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. tomorrow. All election propaganda activities must end at 12. If he levels an allegation at anyone, then no one will be able to respond to it. What are they trying to do with this? This itself is an example that shows what an unethical leader he is. Maithripala Sirisena challenged the president for an open debate. Isn't that the most suitable for our country? But what did the president say? He said that the SLFP Central Working Committee decided that he should not go.
At the media briefing, the JVP pledged to protect the people's franchise.
The government is using the statement that they will win at any cost in order to create a doubt in the minds of the people. We say they cannot win at any cost. Therefore, we would like to tell the people to go to polling centres on the 8th of January and cast your vote. If there is any doubt that after casting votes the ballot boxes would be changed, we have looked into it. We have carried out extensive discussions with the Elections Commissioner. We will be observing the process from the time of the casting of votes to the issuing of the results. We have done a study on possible incidents that could take place. We have built up a mechanism in order to enable the people to use the power to vote. Therefore, we would like to request from all to not to have any doubts and to use your vote at the polling centre. Let's put an end to this corrupt family rule of Rajapaksa on the 8th.
A journalist raised a question on the JVP stance on the allegation that the opposition is going to divide the country.
A country cannot be united only with land. For a country to be united, all sections of the society must come together. But what did Rajapaksa do? It is true that the country was united on the 19th of May 2009. But the people were not united. Wherever there is no unity among people, there is no end to separatism. Therefore, the major responsibility for separating the country lies with the Rajapaksa executive. If you take a look at those in the Rajapaksa team, they too don't want this country united. Why does Basil Rajapaksa need this country? Why does Gotabaya need this country? Why does Dallas Alhapperuma need this country? Why does Chandima Rasaputro need this country? They are all citizens of the United States.
Representatives of several parties that have pledged to support President Mahinda Rajapaksa convened a media briefing today.
We need a change. A change must take place. But this change needs to be a positive one for the people. It has to be a change that has some use for the people. There needs to be proper economic development. Economic experts and even those in the opposition have accepted that the country has experienced proper economic progress.
විරුද්ධ පක්ෂය අය වුණත් පිළි අරගෙන තියෙනවා. මගේ දියණියගේ පොඩි දුව කියවපු කතාවක්.
My little granddaughter said something very sensitive to me recently. She said, "Grandfather, if I had a vote, I would vote for Mahinda Rajapaksa." Then I asked her why. Then she said it was for the Geneva switch. This is what went into my heart deeply. That means the hope of this country is a person who can speak for the country and the nation without any fear. Therefore, as the Sri Lanka National Congress, we render our fullest support to His Excellency President Mahinda Rajapaksa. I would like to express this on behalf of our party leader, Milinda Morogoda.
පූර්ණ සහයෝගය අතිගරු ජනාධිපති මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ ජනාධිපතිගේ ජයග්‍රහණය වෙන ප්‍රකාශ කරමින් අපේ නායක මිලින්ද මොරගොඩ මහත්මයා වෙනුත් මම එය අදහස් ටික ප්‍රකාශ කරමින් මම නිහඬ
අපි විවිධ අදහස් දරුවත් ජනාධිපතිතුමාට පුළුවන් වෙලා තියෙනවා ඒ විවිධ අදහස්.
Though we have different views, the president has been able to bring all those tunes together and sing a beautiful song. We have various musical instruments. Though we play various instruments, the president has been able to make them play the same tune.
එකම තනුවකට බවට පත් කරගන්න ජනාධිපතිතුමාට පුළුවන් වෙලා තියෙනවා.
අවුල් වෙච්ච රට නිරවුල් කරපු අධිකාරී ජනාධිපතිතුමා.
We will continue to work towards making the president who made this confused country into a whole country the leader. We would clearly state that the president would be victorious with a majority of over 2.2 million votes.
අපි පැහැදිලිව ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
The first POE day of the year 2015 falls today as Buddhists celebrate many important events including Lord Buddha's first visit to Sri Lanka.
Along with the POE day, Buddha statues were brought in to present to 100 temples in the Ampara district. The statues were taken by Perahera from the president's house.
A stock of cloth has been given to the Ridigama Delvita Raja Mahavihara by the UPFA organizer for Ridigama in order to distribute them to everyone who came to observe SIL today.
We have received a stock of silk cloth for Buddhist devotees during this election period. A few devotees are against the distribution of this cloth as they fear it will spark disputes between the devotees and it will affect the SIL they observe. We see this distribution of silk cloth as a form of bribe or an illegal act, so we decided to distribute them after the 8th. This silk cloth has been brought to give out to the Buddhist devotees and it will disrupt the SIL they observe. In addition to this, they give all these to people only when an election is near. These are all lies.
The chief incumbent also noted that the UPFA organizer of the Ridigama electorate had come here when the chief incumbent was absent and had distributed the silk cloth.
UNP parliamentarian Dr. Harsha De Silva convened a media briefing today.
The MP brought back to this media briefing. These are the clocks that are being distributed at temples, the robes that are being distributed on POE day. This is illegal. This is being done in violation of election laws. Their campaigning for the presidential election has fallen to the lowest level. We believe that even if they accept these robes and these clocks, the Sinhala Buddhist mothers, fathers, sons and daughters at the temples will not be deceived.
අම්මලා තාත්තලා දුවලා පුතාලා මේවට නොරැවටෙයි කියලා.
United National Party parliamentarian Sujiva Senasinghe attended a public meeting in Malabay today.
The representatives of the UNP of the Malabay area gathered today under the patronage of MP Sujiva Senasinghe. They have sent out 6 cars at 2 a.m. on the 31st, 6 sports cars. I will take the model numbers of these cars. They have burnt all the documents regarding this, but tell them to take me to court if what I'm saying about these 6 cars are not true and they were not sent out of the country. They have sent 6 cars. I do not know the colors of these cars. This was done to protect their wealth by the 8th. They will send away more things. This is not because we have personal disputes. We will create a system where politicians will not steal. We will create an independent police and an independent commissioner for the bribery commission, and we will continue to inform the public of matters such as this.
International election observer teams that are in the country at the invitation of the Elections Commissioner held meetings and press conferences in Colombo today.
A media briefing was convened by the Commonwealth Observer Group, which is being led by Dr. Bharat Jagdeo, former president of Guyana.
Our task is to consider all the factors impinging on the credibility of the electoral process as a whole, and to assess whether the election is conducted according to the standards for democratic elections to which Sri Lanka has committed itself, with reference to national elections related legislation, as well as Commonwealth and other international commitments. We will consider, among other things, whether conditions exist for credible elections, including a fair election environment, whether public media has been impartial, the transparency of the entire process, whether voters are free to express their will, and whether the counting and results process is transparent.
Two teams of election observers from Asia held a meeting in Colombo today to discuss the run-up to the presidential election and their tasks. The teams from the Association of Asian Election Authorities, or AAEA, and the Forum of the Election Management Bodies of South Asia, or FEMBOSA, comprise of 55 representatives from 11 nations.
So far, we feel that the Election Commission is quite well prepared. We reviewed their preparation. The police also gave us assurances and they used the word guarantee for free and fair and peaceful poll. The complaints are only about abuse of government machinery and fear in the future of intimidation, on which we'll have to keep an eye.
We hope that all stakeholders, all partners, all media, all employees and everybody will be playing their role impartially, and we'll have a good election. That is what we like to see.
In business news this evening, the value of the euro has fallen to its lowest level since the middle of 2010, following comments from Mario Draghi, the president of the European Central Bank. In a newspaper interview, he hinted again that the bank might soon start a policy of quantitative easing to try to stimulate the eurozone economies. The aim would be to stop the continued fall in the general level of prices. The euro fell 0.4% to just over $1.20 after Draghi's comments were made public. Recently, the official eurozone inflation rate has fallen to just 0.3%. And moving on to sports news now, Kumar Sangakkara scored his 11th Test double century today, one short of the tally of the great Sir Donald Bradman. Sangakkara achieved his feat at the second Test of the tour of New Zealand. At stumps on day 2 today, Sri Lanka had a first innings lead of 113 runs over the Black Caps.
Sri Lanka resumed their first innings on day 2 in Wellington today. Dinesh Chandimal and Kumar Sangakkara put on a 130-run stand for the 6th wicket today. Chandimal was dismissed for 67 runs. Sangakkara and Suranga Lakmal also put on a 67-run stand for the 9th wicket. It was incidentally the highest 9th wicket partnership for Sri Lanka against New Zealand.
One's in the air. Is that a chance for Southie? No. It's gone all the way.
Sangakkara scored 203 runs, taking his total tally of double centuries to 11, one short of the great Sir Don Bradman.
Double 100 for Kumar Sangakkara. For an absolute champion.
It is incidentally the first double century scored by a Sri Lankan batsman in New Zealand. Sri Lanka were eventually bowled out for 356 runs. At stumps on day 2, New Zealand were on 22 runs for no loss in their second innings.
Well, up next is a look at the bitter truth.
On the 8th of September last year, the bitter truth, quoting the Socialist Youth Union, brought to the attention of society an attempt to tame sports institutions by appointing individuals from political families to positions within these institutions. The bitter truth also reported on incidents where, against this backdrop, individuals who were appointed to various offices in the sports sector had given up not only their positions but even the sports they represent. Secretary of the Interim Committee of the Sri Lanka Netball Association, Damayanti Jayatilaka, joined this list today.
There were plenty of veterans to appoint to the interim committee, but when persons involved in politics are appointed as authorities and we work there as persons who have matured through sport, then there are two different levels. At times there are people who are referred to as madam, and there are times when we become tea servers. As a former netballer, I have brought victory to the Sri Lanka team. We received the due consideration from the administration at the time. We were treated very well during our time. I do not want to be a tea server now.
අපිව පිළිගත්ත හොඳට අපේ කාලේ. ඉතින් මේ තේ අදින තත්යකට පත් වෙන්න මම කොහොමත් කැමති නැහැ.
The Secretary of the Badminton Association, Sampath Piris, also announced his resignation today, citing the lack of good governance in the administration of the sport. He added that he could no longer withstand the pressure exerted by various factions. In the recent past, Asian Games silver medalist Sachit Maduranga departed from sport, noting that he could no longer expect to have a future as a sportsman. Sachit Maduranga said today that there is no environment for a sportsman to simply play the game. Co-secretary of the All Ceylon Sports Officers Association, Rohana Pereira, says that people with true enthusiasm are not competing in sports at present. At present, there has been a major collapse in the sports sector and we are well aware of it. We are currently in one of the darkest eras of sports. Today, the sports sector has become the personal inheritance of a certain group. Talented persons are leaving sports because they do not get due recognition under this system. If we are to move forward from this position and claim victories in sports, then there must be a change for good governance in sports administration. Shouldn't urgent steps be taken to ensure good governance and integrity in Sri Lankan sports? Open for debate.
With that, we wrap up tonight's edition of News First Weekend. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great week ahead of you. Good night.